Welcome back for the first time in a long time. Gerg live on High Ground TV. I'm WhatIsHip, aka Gerg. With me, Charlie. What's up, buddy?
Hey, dude.
How's it going? You're no longer living in the EG lair. How does it feel?
I stopped living. You mean the? Shut up.
Whatever.
You're so stupid.
EG office.
Stupid.
Get your terminology right, Greg. Okay.
I forgot that was a real
the
thing.
Lair
the
is
EG
a very
lair.
special place.
We work really hard on our branding, unlike yourself.
Holy shit! All right.
Lair is actually like the absolute worst word.
Yeah, who the fuck thought that was a good idea?
Nerds in their basements pooping in bags.
Anyway, you still have Monster, and I guess that's all that really matters. LD,
well, it's
right,
free, and I have nothing else in this place.
Literally, sitting on the floor.
Yep.
And we've got LD all the way from his parents' house. How's it going, dude?
Yeah. Good, man. Good. It's cold as hell in Philly.
Dude, it's cold in the Northeast. You know, you take it for granted when you live in California, and then now you come back
sucks.
here and you're like, oh my God.
You know, I told my family I'm going back tomorrow. Vacation's over. This is no good.
Can't take it anymore.
I went to college in New Hampshire, but man, I'm so spoiled by living in LA. It's unbelievable.
You're just like used to it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. What can you do?
Well, you know, we decided that it was time. It was time to re-Gerg. There's been lots of crazy shit in the last week, but we've got a couple things we want to talk about for sure. And then depending on how we are on time and where David's at, maybe we have some call-ins. I actually set up an overlay, which is amazing for that.
Is that what took you so long?
No.
You take so long.
I know, I just switched programs.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Shut up.
Nobody gives
Okay.
a fuck about
All right.
overlay.
All right. Well, the first thing we're talking about this week is
motion carries. I'm with Charlie on this one.
First thing we're talking about this week is going to be the summit. We're going to start there, and we're gonna take it from there. I know this is near and dear to David's heart. Give me the overview, David. How was the summit for you, coming from your end, overall? Give me a lowdown.
Very, very stressful. The first summit, I didn't sleep the night before the event. Literally, the way the night went is like for the summit one, we had like 10 people, 15 people helping out with setup, and most of them went to bed. Then it was like me, Brian, Roland, I think one or two other people. Sorry, guys, if I'm forgetting you. And everyone started dropping like flies, right? Like Roland's the first one to pass out at 3 a.m. Brian bites the dust at like 5 or 6. And for the summit one, we started the days pretty early, which is one of the things we got feedback on and changed for the summit too. So I literally did not sleep. I finished running all the wires for our video production, like because the night before, the Russians or the Ukrainian casters, Starlighter had some requests that I had not gotten to. So anyway, you know, I had finished like getting cables out of the way like an hour before it. So I was a hot mess that event. This event, I slept like an hour before the first day. So that was an improvement. Not much. You know when you get woken up in the middle of an REM cycle and you feel like puking?
Yeah.
Just feel like death because you're not, especially if it's your first REM cycle. That's what happened to me at the summit too. So it was not off to a great start. We had done a lot of testing the night before. Everything was going flawlessly. And then the PC issues hit. And there's nothing to say except we thought we had stress tested well enough and we had not. And that fuck up's entirely on us. And yeah, it's a learning experience. So
okay, so here's my question.
The thing is we had, okay, so we needed 15 computers, right, for the players. 3 rooms of 5. We had 50, and we ran out of computers before the event was even into day 2. My entire day one, once we sorted out a few other issues, like we had one internet issue, which Matt fixed pretty quickly. My entire day was spent trying to find us new computers. And let me tell you, finding like 15 good computers like that day, not very easy. So big thanks to Red Bull because they came through. They literally broke down their studio, which they use for all their StarCraft events in Santa Monica.
Shit.
Rob Simpson personally drove them out at like 10 p.m. that night. He didn't even go to bed until like 2 the next day. So thank you, Rob. One of those had issues. The rest of them were at least pretty stable the rest of the way. So I know there were some lingering complaints. So the PC issues were probably the biggest travesty of the event. And that's entirely on us, entirely on me.
I will say, is it really on you? Why?
It really is, because end of the day, we should test them. So no matter who provides them, yes, they should work. Okay, so first of all, the computers should just work.
I mean,
Let's start with that. From what I was told, apparently these computers at the previous event they were used at about a 20 to 25% failure rate. So we had plenty, right? By that failure
margin.
Rate. That was the failure rate we experienced at the Summit 1. So yeah. I think we got 25 computers, 5 of them didn't work. I will say, at least these computers came formatted. The Summit 1 they literally had no operating system. Like, I don't know what they were being used for. Like, they were just blank computers.
Jesus.
Whatever. So that was probably the biggest travesty of the event. And I will say that day one, it was basically like, I got to a point in the day where, I didn't outwardly, I think people at the house will testify that they could tell I was not happy. But I wasn't like outwardly losing it. I was just stressed out. But there was a point in that day where my internal dialogue was, I think I'm just going to quit esports forever after today. I think I'm just going to never do anything in esports or Dota again. So it was miserable. It was really embarrassing. But fortunately, I think despite all the tech issues we had, not just on day one, but there were some lesser issues throughout the event that we had we were fortunate to have some great games. A lot of the commentators, some of the people we brought in, like Pyrian, were a huge hit. I sadly barely got to cast, but I think other people really stepped up. I know there was a great cast with Merlinium Black. There was the PyCat Voices cast. Like, I think still the core goal of the event was for us delivered, where viewers got a lot of entertainment. But it's not a satisfactory result end of the day. I mean, I'm not happy about it. So we had like an 8-hour meeting 2 days after the event. So the day after the event is spent getting everyone to the airport, which is always fun.
Jesus, yeah, ferrying.
Yeah. I didn't actually know when Cloud9 had their flights until literally after the grand finals, because Conrad couldn't get it out of his players.
No, Conrad couldn't get it out of his players. Conrad's the one that booked the flights.
No. They did something different for this event where they wanted to entrust the players with the responsibility of booking their own flights. So
right.
Yeah. So he didn't have the itineraries.
Okay.
That's what he told me. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that was fun.
So
we had booked all these. Yeah. So I mean, overall, I think objectively, despite there was first this is the best tournament ever when the All Stars match was great. There was Reddit just takes you on this wild roller coaster of ups and downs.
The roller coaster of emotion.
I remember at the Summit 1, there was the first 2 days were like, this is the shittiest tournament ever. I hope you're enjoying your Shekels LD, Beyond the Jew, yada, yada, yada.
Etc.
Day number 3, there was a thread of, the Summit was the best tournament I've ever gotten to watch. Thank you so much for making this event possible. So,
I mean, it's almost as if Reddit is made up of many
different people.
Yes, but it's funny how some of them feel no compunction to get involved one day, and then the next day, bam! So it creates this, it's hard to distance yourself from that sometimes and realize
hive effect.
Okay, yeah, my event's not as great as what they're saying, and it's also not as shit as what they're saying generally. I mean, sometimes it really is that shit, but...
oh, man.
So, I mean, looking back at the event, I think there were a lot of things so the biggest feedback that we got from the Summit 1 that we wanted to improve was, number one, viewers complained a lot about downtime. That was, if you actually look at the amount of downtime for the Summit 2, aside from the 1 3-hour disaster when all the PCs were failing on day one, there was a lot less time on waiting screens. I know people were not satisfied, and there is room for improvement, but we did have a lot more filler content. We spent more time with the gaming stream, which is really useful for filling those extra delays, and I think helps just keep people entertained during the downtime. We're not at that ESL point where we have the countdown clock and everything goes smoothly. And part of that is just the nature of the event. We're not in a big commercial space. We're in a tiny house. There's only one staircase to get upstairs. There's quite a few bathrooms, but of course, all the players realize they need to go right before their game starts.
And there's 4 bathrooms in the house. Yeah. Although one of them,
3.
There's 4.
There's 5.
There's 5?
There's one on the first floor. There's the master bathroom. There's the one for my room. There's the hallway bathroom on the second floor. And there's the third floor one. Although the players didn't realize that there was a bathroom on the third floor until later on in the event.
Classic.
But I think we did a better job of creating interesting filler content. Like the All-Star match was a really big hit. We did something last time that wasn't that great. We did put a lot more planning into that All-Star match, but ultimately, you can't. It's just the magic happens or it doesn't. I think we picked a good mode. We didn't have cheats enabled, so that helps. And we it just happened to turn out to be a great match. But you can't count on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think we could take too much credit for that. I think we set the stage. Having the mobile camera was a huge hit. So huge shout out to Ryan, Steve Aoki, and to Dan, who's the guy who did most of the video editing for the event and did most of the filming for the first one, because Dan was like, you really should bring in Ryan. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Do we really need another camera guy? We really needed him. The mobile camera was a big hit. So I think that was a big improvement. It made people feel more like it was like they were part of the whole house instead of like, here's people in one room, here's people in another room. So I think that was an improvement. And players casted more at this event, a lot more than the Summit one. And I think it's a combination of they saw some of the players from the Summit one were like really well received. Like Big Daddy got a ton of attention. Sorry, what?
Isn't this show supposed to be about like us talking about things that make us mad?
All right.
It can be. I mean, Greg asked me what experience with Summit one was.
Yeah, but you
He's
just
the
kept
host.
going. All right, shut up. So
yeah, I mean, he's an awful host. We both went into this knowing that. So
day one, you had okay. So here's my question, which I wanted to.
I'm not going to do Greg's job for him, man. If he's not going to host, then I'm just going to talk about whatever I do.
Shut up. We have to. I mean, we should go into projects with Gerg, knowing that sometimes we have to do his job for us.
Sometimes.
Oh my god!
All right, let's Gerg.
Okay, so here's the fucking question: what do you do if you're a LAN event and you don't want computers that blow up?
You have to build them. We're at that point.
You have to spend a lot of money because this is the way a lot of LAN events work. You have a PC sponsor. You get a lot of them for free. A lot of these PC sponsors, they're not going to give you their best shit. They're like, all right, these pro players are going to use these for however many days, and we just want a fleet of PCs that we can send out to like whatever fucking event. And it's not going to be our top of the line stuff because they're free. And so we're going to give you whatever, and we're going to hope it works.
Now, the funny thing is, if you look at like the specs on these computers,
they're good.
They're really good.
Yeah, they're really good.
What they do is, okay, so the graphics cards in there, I forget which model it is, but it's minimum power requirement, 600 watts. They had 500-watt power supplies in there. Now, that's a little bit misleading. Generally, it's about how much power you have on the 12-volt rail. But why not have a little margin for error? Like, are you really going to throw like $1,000 of quality video card processor and then put in like this shitty ass
$10 fucking?
Let me tell you, man, it's like $10 to $20 more to get a really good power supply.
Oh,
like,
Jesus!
Spend the fucking money. So I don't even know if that was the issue. Apparently, it turns out the issue was like a BIOS setting. Is there something wrong with the PCI Express ribbon cable?
That's the most
that's where I'm not even sure if we can blame them because it might actually be on us. That could have been discovered in stress testing, but I don't know. Bottom line, man, like all the computers that we built just work. Like once in a while you have a problem with a hard drive.
Yeah, like I've never had a problem with my computer. I don't know, whatever.
Those things are ovens. They're like little ovens. They just cook
because
everything.
They're tiny, right? They're just really small. The ones that they sent. All right, well, that's pretty shit. Next thing, fuck EG audio leak. What are your thoughts on it, Charlie? Actually shut up, David.
Yeah, okay.
Charlie,
go ahead.
It's like I talked about this with David. He gave me a long explanation, like about the whole like apology thing or whatever. That Envy mentioned. The moment it like we realized it and we happened and I called an admin in. Dakota came in. He fixed it. He said sorry, but it was in the middle of the game. So that really didn't. I mean, the quick sorry didn't really get communicated to the players because they're in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
So like he fixed the issue. They went out. We started playing, and then we played the game. Almost everybody forgot about it afterwards. And then after the event, LD wrote an apology to me. I told the players we're done.
All right. So this isn't even something I'm mad about. This is my life learning lesson about this. Like, just because someone doesn't make like a public apology on Twitter doesn't mean they didn't fucking apologize.
I mean, it's whatever. It's shit. Like it's absolutely shit. Should have never happened. If it was like, I don't know, longer or more pertinent information, or didn't get solved immediately, I would have been furious. But I mean, at this point, what's the point in crying over spilt milk?
Yeah, I mean, we fucked up pretty bad. I don't know if it's worth going into the explanation. The short version is we missed a few really cool moments at the Summit 1. We wanted to do local recordings in each room so that if we didn't switch to them live, like a post-game celebration, we could have them for our edits for post-production videos. Then we ended up realizing we wanted to do the room streams again, and we didn't have a setup to do a separate local recording with audio and a live stream without it. Long story short, we ended up on a capture card got unplugged. When you replug it, it unmutes the audio device in XSplit. So admin turned it on because he thought it was fixed when it was actually not ready.
Yeah.
Nobody intentionally did it, but end of the day, it should have happened. It was a fuck up. We have fixes in mind for next time, but it's unacceptable. And I separately talked to a few of the players who were upset about it afterwards, and what can you do? You can only live and learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Dakota gave me a handy afterwards, so we're good.
There you go.
Nice little reach around and took care of it. All right. Well,
I mean, we're fortunately nothing too terrible got.
Yeah,
leaked.
it did.
But it was one of those things where it could have been really bad. So we got lucky that it wasn't more sensitive.
It could have been. Yeah, it could have been really bad. Don't have much more about the summit. I think we can move on from there. Overall, I don't know. As just a viewer from home, I like the event. I like the filler content. I thought it was better than last one, and I don't know. I mean, when you're turning your house into a fucking studio, like a studio where every single room is like broadcasting, you have a million more PCs, there's 1,000 other issues.
How's my audio?
It's like phasey sometimes.
You sound like you're God.
I mean, it's not like bad.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, see, now it's fine.
Now you sound normal.
Yeah. All right, I don't know what's going on.
It's
Whatever.
fine, not a big deal.
All
right,
man, Twitch can't give you guys good internet. Jesus.
Fuck off. What are you wearing right now? Aren't you wearing a Twitch hoodie? You fuck.
No, I'm wearing a BTS hoodie, dude.
Oh,
Whatever,
wow.
same shit.
Got him.
My Twitch hoodie is in the other room.
All right, let's move on to iLeague. This is a recent thing. I know there's some.
Right, I'm gonna fucking go in here.
I'm ready.
All right.
You can explain the situation if you would like.
I mean, okay, so C9 pulled out of iLeague. They qualified for iLeague, and then they pulled out of iLeague, which happens from the January 1st to the 10th. And iLeague's all pissed. That idiot Hightower or whatever writes this big ass stupid fucking blog post, and he doesn't know shit about what's going on. He doesn't know shit about his own fucking tournament and how incompetent the fucking admins are or whatever. Or maybe he's fucking incompetent. He probably is fucking incompetent.
Is he actually an organizer? Or is he just a caster?
Who knows? Who knows who the fuck the organizers are for those tournaments? It's like when you deal with these Chinese tournaments, you deal with this guy that speaks like
half English. Yeah,
it's good. It's actually good enough to like get messages across. There's actually very little that's lost in translation. Very little that's lost in translation, and I speak Chinese, so it's not like putting it together. Yeah. There's nothing that's really misunderstood or whatever. They're actually just fucking idiots. So when you deal with these admins, it's that guy, and then you ask them something, and then you request something, or you like this, or you want this, or you want this format, or this format is shit, there's no way we're doing this, or whatever. They're like, okay, let me ask my boss. And it's always this faceless fucking boss or whatever. And then they come back like 2 or 3 days later, because apparently that's how long it takes to ask their fucking boss. And they come back and they're like, nope, can't do it. Faceless boss says no. And you're like,
cool.
I thought this was a pretty reasonable request. I guess.
All right, let me jump in here. So we talked to iLeague. Season 1, from our perspective, actually went fairly smoothly from a broadcasting point of view. The LAN finals, the game started on time. There weren't really any delays. There was a patch in the middle of a game, because that was when 6.82, like the super rubber band was in the game, and IceFrog saw some ridiculous comeback where Old Boys and Spectre were down 30k gold and came back. That was the one hiccup in the event from a broadcast point of view. So we thought it went pretty well. We talked to them about doing season 2. And then they're like, oh, we want to do a North American qualifier, European one. And they wanted to do that same BO1 single limb bullshit. So we said, no, this is fucking dumb.
They literally learned nothing from season 1.
So
nothing.
In that department, they learned nothing. So we said, listen, this is not going to work. You're not going to get the teams that you guys expect to play. Yeah, your prize pool's big and badass. At the time, it was supposed to be 300,000, or at least that's what somebody thought. I don't know where that information came from, but whatever. So we convinced them, the guy Moonzun, who's the direct contact that mostly everyone's been talking to from the West about the tournament, to change the format. So we agreed to do, seed some of the top teams into the later rounds, have an open qualifier for teams from the beginning to work their way up to that. By the time I forget what he called it, like the tier 1 teams, or not tier 1, but like the seeded teams get into the bracket, it's all BO3s. They insist on single limb. Okay, that's at least like reasonable-ish compared to straight BO1 the entire way. So Andre from Star Ladder, myself, mostly Andre towards the end, more me at the beginning. We spent like weeks working on this guy, cajoling him, just telling him like, listen, man, do you want the top teams to play or not? And he's like, oh yeah, we kind of do. So the day before the North American qualifiers, I think it was literally like 18 hours before the first match.
No, it was less than that. It was less than that.
Well, it was 18 hours before the originally scheduled time, because the originally scheduled time was more like reasonable for North America. And then they said, actually, we're not doing that format anymore. So some teams had not signed up on their website because they were like seeded teams. And iLeague said, if you're not signed up on the website, you don't get to play, even though they'd never been told they needed to. And we're changing the time to what's good for China time. So for our Chinese viewers. So all these North American teams were told they had to play matches at like 3 a.m. Some of them are students, some of them have jobs. It's fucking 3 a.m. in the morning. Like they have all these other events at normal European American time. So fuck that, dude. Fuck that.
So they like literally less than a day before the North American qualifiers were supposed to start, the entire schedule and the entire format for the qualifier got changed. Half the teams that were in the North American qualifier, they got lost. They got removed from the qualifier. They weren't on the list anymore. And this was like no notice or anything. The admin for the North American qualifiers, which was Andre, didn't even know himself. So all of these things like just got changed last minute. And like I think this was when me and Conrad were at LAN somewhere. And
you
then
might have like WEC or something.
No,
that was after that. Oh, Star Ladder.
Star Ladder, yeah. We were at Star Ladder. And then all of a sudden, like, I came back to my hotel. I have, like, Narok and a whole bunch of fucking North American managers messaging me going, like, they changed this. What are we supposed to do? And then Conrad finds out later that, like, oh, we have to play at a different time now. His team is at LAN. He's at LAN. And, like, his entire schedule gets fucked up. Everyone's shit just gets fucked up. And iLeague's explanation is, you should have checked the website. We changed everything. Our boss said this is how.
Sounds like Dream League, dude. Oh, we updated the match time on our binary beast bracket.
How couldn't you notice that, man?
Why aren't you checking it every 4 hours, man? I mean,
Jesus.
Oh
so all right. So
that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
go on,
right?
Charlie. Resume
let's move forward.
Okay. So like that shitstorm of a qualifier goes through. C9 wins. They're like, okay, I guess we'll go to iLeague. And then this month, no, this was at the summit. It was like the last 1 or 2 days at the summit. Me and Conrad are sitting there together, and he notices on the iLeague, he pulls up Dota and he notices the iLeague ticket description, and it says $100,000 base prize pool. And up until this point, every single communication, every single message, every single official communication that we've gotten from iLeague in Skype or whatever, when they were asking us to play in their tournament in the beginning, they advertised it as $300,000 base. When we said no in the beginning, they were like, "Are you sure it's $300,000?" And I said no. And so like there's no like misunderstanding, mistranslation, or anything here. They knew it was $300,000. That's what they told us. That's what we went in. That's what all these teams went in thinking, that it was $300,000, not $100,000, $300,000, and that's what it was gonna be. And then Conrad sees $100,000. He's like, "What the fuck?" As he should have. And then he gets back, tells his players, "Hey, look at these."
Guess what, boys?
Look at these fuckers. Yeah, I mean, I can understand like not wanting, like you qualify for a LAN and then you pull out like after you've already qualified, like that's kind of shitty. But when you I don't know if it's purposely or whatever, or again if they're fucking idiots, but when you misrepresent your prize pool
by that enormous amount,
$1,000 more than it actually
when
is,
you triple it.
Yeah, then that's how can you have any confidence in anything they say at that
Everyone
point?
should pull out of your fucking event, you fucking shady piece of shit. Fuck.
That's it. Are you done? Charlie, stop mid-sentence.
How are you feeling, Charlie? Does that feel
How
good?
would you feel?
And then the guy has the gall, like, I don't know, that Hightow fuckface. He has the gall to like make a post and say, "Hey, EE, work harder."
Yeah.
Like
What does that have to do with anything?
what the fuck does that have to do with anything? And he says something like, "Oh yeah, even C9's manager was embarrassed about them pulling out and issued an apology. No, he's being professional. You cunt bucket shit pistol."
Shit pistol. There's a new one.
All right. Well, I guess we know how to get Charlie.
No, Conrad's
aggravated.
a nice, tactful person. Like
He really is. Kind of. I was gonna say.
No, he's deviously nice. Let's be clear about Conrad's management style. So the way that Conrad tries to get things from organizers is he's like, "Listen, I'm really sorry I have to ask for this. I know my players are being a little ridiculous, but could you please, whatever the request is,
could you please?"
Conrad's really good at making it seem like he's on your side and like kind of butter you up a little bit and
wow,
abusing that friendship. No,
yeah,
Conrad, he's a good guy.
Jeez. All right. Well, I think that mostly covers the iLeague situation.
Like there's
TLDR, iLeague is a piece of shit.
We didn't play in iLeague for a variety of reasons. Like one, mostly it was because the schedule wouldn't have worked out that great for us. I mean, it's 10 days. I mean, like the way I saw it, and the way we talked about it as a team was it's 10 days. We have to be in China for 10 days for supposedly $300,000. But based off of last season and what I knew about how they did last season, how they ran last season, and the total kind of contribution that they had, it's not even if it was $300,000, 20 of that gets like taxed right off the top. They don't give you a taxation form or anything like that to prevent you from getting double taxed. They just take off 20% straight off the top. And then a bunch of that money gets put into production costs. I've heard as much as 30% to 20% just straight up goes into production costs. There's no like hard number. That's what they did with last season as well. So a whole bunch of that just goes into production. And and then on top of that, they're either going to pay you in cash or you can pray and hope that you get like a wire transfer or something.
Like 5 million years later.
Who knows?
Maybe.
Like the reason, like when WEC gave us our briefcase full of fucking cash, I was half tempted to say no, fuck you, wire transfer this to me. But I knew if I didn't take that cash right then and there, I was probably never going to get that money.
Yeah, it's just gone.
Like for tournaments like iLeague, WC, WCA, or whatever, I value like
get what you can guaranteed instead of maybe get a little more later.
I probably value every dollar from a Chinese tournament, from one of those kinds of Chinese tournaments, at about 33 cents.
Well, I can't really blame you, man. I mean, it's already down to, doing the math, it's already down to 56%. If they take 30% off the top, then 20% of the remaining 70 is taxed, and you're left with effectively 56% of the prize pool, the prize pool that can even be paid out
the
to
prize pool.
On top of that, the guy also mentioned in the post that neither C9 nor EG was at or had participated in iLeague or done anything like that. For the record, C9 was at iLeague last time, weren't they?
I think so.
No, that was Rave. That was the tournament of VP and Rave and.
No, never mind. C9 wasn't at iLeague, but we have we have had interactions with iLeague, so we still know what their admins are like. Like during the first season of iLeague, we entered in negotiations with them to get like certain things sorted out. And what happened is that in the middle of negotiations, they just stopped negotiating with us and said, "Oh, the deadline's up. You guys can't sign up anymore." Shit like that.
I remember that. Yeah.
You know, ultimately, I wonder if they even care about having Western teams because it doesn't seem like they do.
It doesn't help.
So why have the qualifiers? Like Why not just run it for only Chinese teams?
Honestly, I think they do care about having Western teams. But the thing is, I think they're stuck in this like mentality or whatever that we're a big Chinese tournament. We can do and say whatever the fuck we want, and you're just going to and teams are just going to fall in line.
Yeah, and you're not.
It just doesn't work,
fact,
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
The fact is that we're not Chinese teams. We're Western teams, and we're not going to just like when you bend us over, we're not going to just take it. And
I don't think every Chinese team does.
And we're also at the point now where tournaments aren't at a premium anymore.
Yeah, agreed.
Like a LAN comes up like every week or so. Like I don't give a fuck about your shitty fucking tournament. Get your shit together, or we're not gonna play.
I'm very interested to see how this Perfect World Tournament goes. The Dota 2 Asian Championships, because in a way you have to. It has to feel to like the average community member like they're representing Valve, because Perfect World is Valve's official publisher partner in China. So I wonder how involved Valve will be. I wonder, if it will be at a higher standard. It seems like most of the teams that are invited are going.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be amazing. It could be a mini TI, but there's been so many of these big Chinese events where like WPCAs. DK, the teams still have been paid. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's one of those things where if in the Western scene, it's like there was like kind of a Reddit thread, but no one really cares that much because most of the Chinese players are not on Twitter. They're not active in the Western community. But imagine if a Western tournament did that, and it was like on the scale of WPCAs, where not only is the prize pool big, but it's like it's like Dream League for literally like 3 months of come into the studio and play matches here. You have to be near Shanghai where the studios are. And then just nobody gets paid. So, I am very curious to see how the Perfect World event goes, and fingers crossed that it goes well.
All right, this kind of gets me into the next topic. It's kind of the next two topics. Tournament saturation is something that people have been talking about a lot in the last week. VLOT has been talking about tournament saturation, sort of in the terms of like items. Well, not tournament saturation, but he's talking about like
tickets not being valuable
and pricing models for tickets and cats and stuff like that. So that's kind of the next two things. But tournament saturation in terms of will tournaments actually get self-selected out? I've heard a lot of like really interesting opinions about this, and I kind of just want to start with Charlie. I mean, EG is one of the teams that definitely are the most selective about the events they enter, the lands they go to. A lot of teams, if they get invited, they go. EG, it's not like that at all, basically. So why don't you just
are they? EG has not turned down that many events.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, look at like every major land. You guys have been at almost everyone except for WCA and what?
Well, at least I should say
opportunity to go to. Here, I have a tournament document.
I would say, okay, I would put it this way: they're much more selective than most teams.
Okay. I don't know.
Okay. Selective or demanding. I mean, I guess is how you could say it. Like,
there's also been like a lot of, like qualifiers that we choose not to participate in, just because we know we're not going to go, whereas we instead of like dropping out at the last moment.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't go to Bucharest. We didn't play in D2CL. We didn't play in the Moscow Cup, WCA, I-League, both I-Leagues.
I mean, I think you're
at the beginning of the year, or at the beginning of this season. I put together all the tournaments that we could have possibly played in, and we went through and we selected each one, accounting for burnout, counting if it's worth going to or not.
Well, do you think it worked? Your players seem pretty burnout to me.
I think the big hiccup was Dream League, and I think that's the major and probably the only reason we were really burnt out. It was like a 2-week long event, and we immediately went to the summit after. I talked about it with them, and I said, and I gave them we talked about it. I'm like, do you guys really want to go to Dream League? I think I spoke to a few of them. I told them I think it's actually better if we don't go and just prepare for the summit. But there were a lot of reasons why. There are a lot of factors that went into why we decided to go, and it's hard to say whether it was good or bad. there are a lot of benefits and there are a lot of negatives to it. So, and it's hard to say how things would have turned out if we didn't go.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that the summit was so close and that Dream League was 2 weeks long is one of those unfortunate things that's hard to account for. On top of the fact, and we set aside 2 weeks for Dream League. Well, not 2 weeks, but we set aside that week that's typically reserved for DreamHack because DreamHack is always that week.
Yeah.
And we set that week aside like way in the beginning. But we didn't anticipate Dream League taking up 2 weeks because they didn't tell us until like,
Right.
Yeah. I just want to quickly interject to say that we did not want to schedule the summit the week that we did. The week that we wanted to schedule was actually the week after that. But at the time, right when we were about to announce, WePlay came to us and said, we're running our big event in Ukraine this weekend. Please don't use this weekend. And our event is a lot more flexible in terms of dates because we're running out of our house. So, I mean, it does take a lot of setup, but, we can access the venue whenever we want. So we moved forward a week because a week later and it's too close to the holidays. And then WePlay doesn't fucking happen. So don't even get me started on that. But
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so my question basically is from here on out for tournament selection, do your factors change now that, there's basically, like you said, a tournament every weekend or every 2 weeks, there's a big LAN. So when you look at a tournament from here on out, what does it look like for you, whether it's worth it to go or not?
It's still generally the same factors. Not much is going to really change. There is talk about, obviously there's talk about that Players Association talking about, what kind of treatment they want, what kind of tournaments they want to go to. And that's something that, out of respect for the people involved in it, and I'm not going to...
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to give specifics.
No,
it's the players' shit. What do you want me to do?
I don't know.
Fucking sit up here and like...
Charlie, we want you to just quickly email Greg the spreadsheet, and we'll just walk through each player's personal preferences.
I'll just put it right up on the screen.
Greg, let me give you my social security number as well. How about my fucking bank account number?
Oh, man.
Do you like tile floors in your bathrooms, Charlie? Or you're more of a marble guy? Let's get into this, man.
I personally like hardwood.
Okay.
I can respect that.
I can't respect that, dude.
You don't like hardwood? You're an idiot.
All right, we're
not my bathroom.
All right, whatever. Continue with tournament saturation. Part of what brought this whole conversation about, at least in part, was we have these 3 tournaments again in June, and then it comes out that the TI qualifiers are supposedly, at least at this time, we're going to be in the 2nd week of June, which, argue or don't argue that it would impact those teams. It certainly creates a bind again.
We'll decide like which tournaments that we go to generally the same way. We'll space out our like what we want, where we go. We'll decide based on prize pool, location, format, number of teams going. Is this admin a fucking dumbass or not?
Okay, so let me ask you this. There's those 3 tournaments in June right now, ESL, DreamHack, and MLG. Right now, assuming supposedly there's another email today that the TI qualifiers are moved. Regardless, EG probably would not have to play in those.
By the way, can I just comment on those emails? The first time that Valve sent an email announcing the dates for TI5, they said, though we are not ready to announce to the public yet, we would like to give you a heads up on our schedule for the international. Literally like 30 seconds later, there's a thread on Reddit. Yeah. And then the next 2 emails they've sent, they didn't even bother.
They're just like, whatever.
Some idiot is really thirsty for Reddit karma.
Yeah, well, okay. So regardless,
I'm a little surprised they send it to like every organizer, but whatever.
So now TI, that qualifiers are supposedly earlier, but like I said, EG probably doesn't have to play in those anyway. But there's those 3 tournaments: ESL, MLG, and DreamHack. DreamHack's in the middle. If you had to pick and choose, which of those would you go to?
Depends.
They haven't really announced many
They haven't announced shit. What the fuck do you want me to say? You want me to commit to a tournament without any...
Commit right now, Charlie.
Right,
commit on air, live now. Be a man. Stand up for something once in your life. Pick one.
All right. Whatever. I was going to put together a hypothetical...
Craig, that's a terrible question. They haven't announced anything.
Okay. You can make assumptions about what they're going to be. Like,
no,
vague assumptions. All right. You can all go fuck yourselves.
I have some information.
You have prize... You can assume what the prize pool will be.
Like, you're asking me for my fucking, credit card information again.
All right, I hate you.
Shut.
I hate you so
You
fucking
walked
much.
into this yourself. You're so stupid. You can't
You
even.
had. I like how like Greg had some time to like carefully construct
didn't
his
have
next
time.
question.
Are you
He's got
serious?
notes.
All right,
you know, he's working on the
shit.
overlays before the show, and this is the shit he shovels out.
All right. You know what, dude? I'm just trying to get Charlie to commit to something here, and it's not working.
All right, if I may jump in.
Yes.
Like, are you
Let's
trying
tell
to?
us. You have a lot more to say here, bud.
No, I'm good. You can go for it.
I think it's perfect. Like that is the direction the scene should go in. It's pretty clear at this point that Valve does not want to be interventionists. They don't really want to go the CS:GO model. At least it doesn't seem that way to date. Of course, this could all change if if Valve just drops a big announcement. That would build some hype. But for now, we have to assume that they're not going that way. So if it's going to be a relatively free and open market, the solution is for teams to be selective. I've been saying it for a while. To me, I think oversaturation as a problem is a myth. The problem is when teams try to play every tournament. And one of the biggest arguments you'll hear about this is, well, we don't want to miss out on opportunities to prove ourselves for TI.
Yeah,
but the truth is that teams that are TI worthy don't have to play every event to prove that they're TI worthy. And in fact, by doing so, you may hurt your chances of qualifying because you may play like shit in every event because you're jet lagged, you're burned out, everyone knows your strats because you're showing them every event. It's counterproductive. And not to mention you're probably winning less prize money. So Look at I think it was TI3, where the Chinese teams barely played any events after TI2. They still all got invited. Valve is clearly not basing their decision on like, have you placed well in at least like 4 or 5 majors.
Yeah, there's clearly no like.
It seems much more holistic, right?
Yeah,
like just looking up from the outside in. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do.
I think it's much more qualitative than quantitative. You know, I think they just evaluate the teams on base value.
And the thing is, if you don't have a shitload of tournaments, some of varying prize pools, varying locations, you don't really have the luxury of choice. If there's 4 or 5 big events and that's it, and you start dropping off tournaments, now you don't really have events to play. But if there's 15, 20, 30 big events, then you can be selective and drop a bunch of them and play the ones that you think are good. And it's not that hard for all the top teams to say, these are the events that we consider premier, work together and just play them all.
Here's the I don't have a problem with being more selective. I think teams absolutely should, and I think that they do. I think a lot of people miss the spirit of EE's message. And
we're not even in EE's message yet.
Okay, fine. We'll talk about that later, but we'll stick with oversaturation right now. Being more selective sort of solves the issue for specific teams, like teams as an individual actor, but it doesn't really address the fact that there are still too many tournaments and too many big tournaments, and don't you think it kills hype a little? Like
but see, the thing is, it's not a big.
Thing is, that doesn't matter. Not every team is at every event. Like,
I can understand what you're saying.
There's a big event. Like, there's 2 big events every month.
But see, Charlie, if all the top teams aren't playing these events, they're not big events. It doesn't matter what your prize pool is. End of the day, the main driver of viewership is your platform, if you're on Twitch or not, and teams. That's it.
You're going to get very similar teams at some of these events. There's going to be overlap.
Yeah, but Charlie, no. But David's saying that if you cut the,
I'm not saying that oversaturation is like completely, or I'm not saying that if teams are just more selective that it'll completely solve the hype issue, but the fact that but teams being more selective doesn't, like, there's still going to be hype lost because of oversaturation.
But the thing about that is we're never going to hit like the Riot model where, matches get a week of hype, because that's not the way that the Dota tournament market works.
See, here's what's going to happen though. If top teams are...
Question, should we be like the Riot model? Should we have a circuit?
I like the Riot model.
Okay, so the way that I look at it is, let's assume that teams are becoming more selective. I think that's a pretty safe assumption based on the blog, just based on if you talk to these players, a lot of them already said publicly, they're going to be more selective moving forward. Assuming players are, the tournaments that have the top teams automatically become the premier ones. Sure, there will be some overlap. Maybe a top team, like maybe C9 plays 1 or 2 extra events compared to Secret or EG or whatever. But in general, there's going to be a shift moving forward because the players are just flat out burned out. It's pretty clear. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them will become more selective. So the tournaments that have these top teams become more prestigious. They bring in more interest from viewers. They sell more tickets, assuming their ticket's not shit, and they have a decent cosmetics bundle than they would if they didn't have those top teams. That's just how the cookie crumbles. So then the events that don't have those teams, let's say they put up $150,000, they probably don't get a return on that investment. Or even if they do, their sponsors aren't happy. They don't really want to reinvest. They pull the plug. Suddenly, you have trouble drumming up sponsors for a similar level prize pool. So what happens is there is a natural sifting out. I mean, I agree with you that
it's going to take a long time. And
yeah, I agree with you. That is the downside. Is that there's that period in the middle where there is the shifting out.
Is sponsors pulling out good? Like I think it's very easy to say this is the natural sort of progression of events as a whole, but who knows what complications that leads to when there's like.
Well, I mean, but you can make the other argument, which is who knows what complications interventionist policy leads to. Like, let's say Valve does go.
I mean, I'm not saying Valve has to do it, but I think the advantage of an interventionist policy is that it's in somebody's control to make it right. Whereas leaving it up to the market, who knows what the fuck happens.
I mean, okay, so what you're basically getting at is sort of the players.
I mean, I'm not pretending I'm not pretending I have a solution.
I know, but what you're referring to might look like something like this players union that people are talking about. I mean, that's an intervention. That's an organization that can, in theory, at least, intervene with, a problem like this.
Okay, like I will tell you, for example, we really enjoyed doing the summit overall, the past two events, even though, there were more issues. I personally didn't enjoy the summit 2 that much because I was just really stressed out. But overall, the tournament was fun. I'm really glad that there were all those positive moments, even if there was some shit along the way. And I would love to run the tournament 3-4 times a year, but there's no way we'll ever fucking do it because, first of all, it will lose money. Secondly, it won't be nearly as interesting to people anymore, especially when there's all these other tournaments. Like if there was let's say we go back 2 years and somehow we had the resources to do the tournament then, I think we could run 4 a year and it would still be pretty good. Like Starladder last year running 4 events, it didn't really feel like too much. It's more this year it feels like too much because they haven't really grown their prize pool.
Yeah.
And there's just all these other events. So it kind of loses its charm. But I think any smart organizer this looks like the year where a lot of companies are kind of going all in or really, trying to push it, like MLG dropping over $500,000 just in prize pool this year, spread out over a bunch of events. They're going to look at that investment at the end of the year and decide if it's worth it or not. And a lot of companies are. And a lot of companies probably are not running their events or running less events because they're just not getting that return. So it's one of the downsides of the free market model. But given that we have it for now, we can plead and cry and whine all we want to Valve. I think if they wanted to change something, they probably would have by now.
Yeah, they would have already. I am not considering Valve in this equation at all.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's a great some sort of solution, right, where Valve can assign like points models to tournaments that lead to qualifiers for TI that sort of builds off of like sports or something. But something like that's, I mean, realistically, it's just not going to happen.
Well, so one of the issues with the points model is like, I know Valve does worry a lot about the footprint of the international. They don't want it to cast too large of a shadow on the scene. Some would argue that it does.
It was fucking $11 million last year.
Yes, but that's one of the reasons why they don't run a bunch of events right now. They want to create this open ecosystem as much as possible where everyone can do what they do. So
a points model doesn't infringe on that.
Well, it can, because let's say a team qualifies for TI. And like, let's say someone gets really hot. It wins like 4 events in the first half of the post, TI5 era, and now they've qualified for TI6.
Sure.
They can just fuck off for 8 months and go do whatever they want. So that's terrible for the scene. Like having a team that just has that free, cushy guarantee trip, especially if
I think
the community got what they wanted and everybody got a bunch of prize money at TI. Then like, why the fuck play all these other events?
Agreed.
So.
Then
You're directly harming events that are not in the first half of the year. So I don't think a point system works.
There's ways around that example.
I don't think that's a good reason. I think there are reasons not to do it, but I don't think that's the best reason.
It is a good reason, and it would happen.
It's a reason. There's so many events that I don't think that would happen.
You could just add in another rule saying that like you have to play.
You have to keep consistency of some sort.
Yeah, but maybe they just show up and mail it in and treat it as a holiday. Like, well, you have to place at least, like 3 spots less than your. Come on, man. It just doesn't.
I don't know. You like order the points to a point where like You can do the math in the way that.
But see, if that happens, then teams will just focus on those later events. The same way the teams leading up to TI will say, fuck off all the other events and just focus on TI.
I don't buy that. I don't know. I don't buy that's a reason not to do a points model. I mean, I think the main reason that there's not going to be a points model is because Valve's not interested in getting involved. But I just wanted to entertain the idea and see what you guys think. But this does sort of lead me to that next topic that we were talking about with VLOT and hats and pricing models for tickets and things like that. So, I mean, the way that it works is prize pools are generally supplied, you know, obviously in part by the community, but a huge amount of that money comes from directly from sponsors. And you start with the sponsor money. If sponsors are leaving the scene, then it becomes harder to build prize pools. But when you look at other tournaments that have been successful lately, the things that stand out, you know, in terms of successful in terms of prize pool, the things that the things that stand out are fucking hats, man. The Dota Cinema tournament and the Summit have had the two best cosmetic packages recently. Both of them have chests. Or is the Dota Cinema?
Well, no, they have a standalone chest.
Yeah, the standalone chest is unrelated, but they've sold a fuckload of those, I'm sure. But they have a really, really good set and a really good compendium that comes with a shitload of sets. And you've had the chest as well as the compendium. And those two tournaments, I think, far and away have done the best in terms of contributions. So my thing is that, you know, the money that comes in through the tournament tickets has... I mean, I agree with Vila, is that has nothing to do with the teams that are in them. It has everything to do with the value you get out of the ticket in hats, you know, in cosmetics. And
well, perfect example. Look at ESL, right? I mean, they got fucked hard with their hats because
well, they're that.
It was, I think, they got in super last minute. It kind of looked like it was supposed to be a chest originally. It turned into a bundle, and chests sell a lot better. But I mean, you just look at how the tickets sold, and granted, I think for like ESL New York was not quite as hype as ESL Frankfurt. I don't think many people would argue about that, but nobody knew how it was going to go before the event, right? So you buy the ticket based on the hype of ESL Frankfurt, which was an amazing event as a spectator anyway. And they didn't sell at all. They had a great lineup of teams. I think that was probably the best lineup of teams well, maybe not, because they had three. In terms of overall like level of play, there was the 3 slots for America. I think 2 would have been a bit better than that, but they do it a go see. It was still a good spread of teams.
There were still amazing games at ESL New York.
First big Dota event in New York, but the tickets sold abysmally compared to these other events. And I mean, Kennegat did come out and say, we want to see why people are spending their money. And I mean, the math is clear. Yeah. People are buying hats. So there's no dispute about that.
So, I mean, in terms of how that plays into what we're talking about earlier is, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's just another factor that you definitely have to consider. It's not just sponsor money. It's not just, you know, the teams you get in your tournament, but there's a lot of organizations that the only reason, you know, that they're so successful at this point is the income they get from those tournament tickets. Yeah. And I mean, a perfect example is you look at all the workshop artists, and I will be more than competent to say that, or more than happy to say that the people that are making the most money in the Dota 2 scene are the people that make hats, like the successful people that make hats.
Those in like the top and 20 players
top, like,
or whatever.
Yeah, the top like 2 or 3 teams that win TI. You know, obviously they're outliers. I don't even consider TI in that equation really, but those people are making much more money than anyone else.
So what are you trying to say? Should we not?
I mean, I think it's just an interesting thing that you have to consider.
It's a really tricky problem for Valve, right? Because the thing with hats is you have a very easy way to measure how good the product is. It's based on sales.
Yeah.
With tournaments, especially because they've found that bundling items helps to sell them, it's very difficult to tell.
I don't think any of us disagree that it's really unfortunate that people are buying tickets not for the quality of a tournament, but for cosmetics.
I mean, but yeah, like here's the reality is, what do you do if you're Valve? Because you can't my big thing is, I don't know many people, and maybe you guys do. I don't know many people that started playing Dota 2 because they thought the hats were cool. In fact, I would say I don't know anyone who got started with Dota 2 because of hats.
I mean, your question is, what does Valve do about this situation? And I think it depends on what they care about.
Because there's
let's assume Valve cares about everything, because ultimately it's best for them if tournaments are healthy, teams are happy, and hat creators are involved. Ultimately, that's the perfect situation for Valve. But yeah, it's like, hat creators don't really directly bring that many people to Dota as far as I'm aware. I've never met anyone who feels that way. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone, oh, I started playing this game because there's cool cosmetics. But once you get hooked on the game, then you go crazy with the hats. So it's this weird situation where the hat creators are making Valve a ton of money, and therefore it makes sense that they should be making a good portion of that. But at the same time, they're capitalizing on a user base, which was not really something that they created. And I think Valve recognizes that, you know, players like Dendy, part of Free to Play or Fear, you know, that video probably brought a lot of people into Dota 2. Same for the international, the players, to a much lesser extent, the casters, the overall show, everything surrounding the event, that got people interested in Dota 2. The pro scene drives a lot of people into the game. I mean, I think bigger than that is word of mouth from friends and, you know, oh, my friend's playing this game, and he gets you to play it. But
sure, of course.
So those people bring people to the game, but how do you quantify that? Like, you don't know that, oh, I signed up because I'm a fan of Dendy, so you can't really give him money for that, even though, like, in theory, he should be rewarded in some way. And so I think Valve just has this very difficult problem where there's no good way to quantify how much value add there is from these people, but they're adding a shitload of value. Like, I don't think anyone questions that Dendy has probably brought as much value to Dota 2 as, I mean, probably even more than the top hat creators, honestly. If not more, then certainly he's up there in that discussion.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
You have a way to measure what the workshop creators bring to the table very quantitatively. You don't for the rest of the scene. And so I have no idea what the solution is, to be honest.
If they want solutions to measure like the value that Dendy has for Dota, I mean, there are probably ways to do that if you want to.
They're actually, you know, I remember it was like 2 years ago. So
they're probably not all perfect, but I mean, I think this is a little bit of a separate issue than the normative question of whether or not we should add hats to tournament bundles.
Well, I think I look at it and I feel like maybe from the Valve point of view, it's like we don't really know how to measure this. And so one way of trying to make sure that everyone who contributes to the scene is rewarded is by, I mean, they don't directly force workshop creators to work with tournaments, but as everyone knows, it's generally easier to get your items in the game when you tie it to a ticket.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe that's Valve's kind of imperfect solution is, we're not going to force people to work with tournaments, but we will incentivize them to do so. And that way, once you're working with the tournaments benefit to some extent. The players benefit a lot from the prize pool being grown, and the workshop creators still make money and get items in the game. So I have no idea if that's their thinking. That's just my best guess.
I think you're mostly on target, right? Because here's what I look at. When you look at Twitch streams, the things that matter are the teams that playing. And when you look at tickets, the things that matter are the items that come with them. So for Valve to balance that is, obviously it's really hard. So, I think you're on target, but the issue there is obviously, I know that there are some item creators that are like, well, clearly
a lot of item
there's creators. A lot of item creators that are like, the tournament system is broken. We shouldn't support this. We could be making money without this, blah, 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 blah. It's certainly not a wrong. It's definitely not wrong, but you obviously have to look at the greater value of, like you said, the tournaments drive people to come into the scene. And, there's a lot of added value from those tournaments in terms of exposure and things like that go just beyond the direct financial ramifications for the people that are directly involved. So,
the most natural progression of that discussion, and I think it's been there on Reddit. I'm sure a lot of people have realized and thought about it, is the Dota TV viewing experience is just not that great compared to Twitch. Especially for a live LAN event. Like for an online tournament, there's less of a difference, generally speaking.
Sure.
Now, and that's not just because of Dota TV audio. Like, there's been plenty of LAN events which have good Dota TV audio. Most usually problems on day 1 or 2. There's just why buy the ticket unless you buy it for all the other reasons, either because you're goodness of your heart, you want to support the tournament, the hats, whatever. But that's probably, I bet that's less than
5% of people that buy it because they want to control the camera.
Can't you get hats if you link your Steam profile to Twitch?
Yeah, you can. You used to be able to get drops if you watched on Twitch. I don't even know if that's true. I think you have to own the ticket for that, though, don't you?
I'm not sure.
I think you do.
Ever since the ticket, I'm not sure, to be honest. But I don't
know. Well, the real interesting question is, we're not smarter than Valve, right? I wouldn't say that. They've started Steam broadcasting. Is that their plan? Are they looking to someday basically give the full viewer experience inside of the client? That would seem to be the natural idea. Right now, right now it's not there, but
Yeah, it's not
they've
there
got
at
to
all.
be
But
thinking about it.
it seems like, yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. They have to be considering it. You know, you see the amount of, I mean, Twitch is clearly, you know, I think, I don't know if this is actually true, but I would assume that, you know, even a company like Twitch is cash flow positive. And Valve already has a lot of servers implemented, and, you know, making a switch something like this or adding in a feature like this is not, you know, it's not as big of a deal as if you're starting from scratch. So,
Well, the thing is, if Twitch owns the teams, then it's kind of hard for Valve to
well,
box
yeah,
them out, right?
exactly.
So, I mean, hey, you know, Twitch bought GGA, so now they've got a few teams under their belt. So, you know,
Now
I
that
don't know.
Charlie's
I don't.
swimming in
I
that
don't think Valve looks at it
Charlie, do
quite
you not have
different.
furniture because you're just swimming around in your money in your bathtub?
Yeah, you want to see?
Oh my god. Well, that's actually, I don't know. That's not even a topic we have time to talk about, really. Last topic, biggest topic, Eternal Envy mid blog post.
Is this really the biggest topic?
I mean, it feels like it drove a lot of these other topics, so I don't feel bad calling it the biggest topic. But
Okay.
and maybe that's just not smart. But Envy wrote a blog, and a lot of it, you know, talked about tournament conditions. He talked about admins. He talked about the ticket system. He talked about casting and all sorts of other stuff. And some of the stuff we've already talked about, obviously. Tournament hype, we already mentioned it. Tournament ranting. I mean, Charlie kind of went off on, you know, iLeague, and that's just one example of general incompetence that can happen. The ticket system, etc. And do you guys, before we get to the obvious thing that obviously me and David are interested in here, but this other stuff that he's talking about, the conditions at tournaments and things like that.
I mean, I feel like we mostly covered it all. I don't know.
Okay.
Did we cover the big ones?
I'm gonna like just lay this out about Envy's blog. Maybe it's a disclaimer, whatever, however you want to take it. But I think Envy would say this himself about himself as well. But he does not communicate very well. Like, he doesn't like get out his thoughts out there in a very coherent manner. Like, his blog, almost everything he says and writes, it's very stream of consciousness. He doesn't think about it so much. It's just how he feels at that moment. He just like barfs all over the place and just puts it out
Verbal
there.
vomit.
It's, I mean, it's
written
it's
vomit,
very
whatever.
it's very honest. Like, he doesn't mince words, but at the same time, there's not a lot of tact, and sometimes you really have to read between the lines. So I would say, like,
Fortunately, we've got his interpreter here, Greg. So
yeah, we have the Envy whisperer. Charlie Yang, everybody.
Nobody call me that.
That's so good, Greg.
No, that's actually not as bad as Snake King's dad.
Dude, you're the dad of NA Dota. Didn't you know? You had to adopt an entire scene to replace the loss of Snake King.
You know, it's always so weird when people call me that, not because
wait, Snake King's dad or what? What are we talking about?
No, the father, like the dad of NA Dota. Mostly because, like, I think that's both disingenuous for like, and like, you give me too much credit, honestly. Either way,
I don't think anyone takes that seriously.
God,
no,
I hope
no offense, no offense.
no,
Dude.
I hope not. But so with Envy's blog, you sort of have to read between the lines, and like when you read over it, you have to like really take it with a grain of salt and like realize that your immediate reaction to what he's writing is probably not what he really means to say.
Well, my impression of the blog was that Envy to me strikes me as someone who thinks about things largely just directly from his point of view, especially when it comes to like issues on the scene.
Yes, he does. And I would say the immediate reaction that on Twitter from the players, from Envy, from casters as well, from tournament organizers, everybody has been very insular in their reaction. Like, everybody thinks about it from their own point of view. How they view the scene, what's good for them, what's bad for them, stuff like that. The players, like, they view themselves as tired, jet lagged. They go to all these events and they see themselves as the stars of the events because in some sense they are. And the treatment isn't always something that they're very happy with, things that they have to do or whatever. And they see it from their perspective. At the same time, they've never put on a tournament before. They have no idea what goes into it. They have no idea like the difficulties that go into planning an event like this. In sort of the same way that I guess a lot of organizers or casters or production people don't always think about um, like the time that players really take and the emotional toll like just constantly competing and performing and very oftentimes losing has on a team.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, like a good example is the beginning of the blog, right? He says, once upon a time, I remember playing against Navi in the group stage of Star Ladder. With every kill, I had goosebumps, and when we won, my team was screaming. It made me happy. Now, without reading the rest of the blog, without even having to talk to Envy, I can tell you right now, man, eventually the luster wears off. Like, that's just life, right? The first time I casted a major event, when I casted TI2, I had goosebumps all over my body. I was like totally overwhelmed. It was amazing. When we had positive casts that went well, I was ecstatic. It was just a full body thrill rush, right? TI3, TI4, I would by no means say I'm jaded. I love being there. It's overall a fantastic experience, but
a little bit. Yeah, it's just
right. Like it's not that the tournaments are necessarily less hype, although I think there is some truth to that. But your position in the scene has changed. You used to be an up and comer, fighting from the bottom up, just scrounging for respect. Now you're an established player, so of course it's going to feel different. And that's just the real. It's like when you're in a new relationship, man. At first, like the flame burns bright. You're infatuated. You have the honeymoon period.
Fucking honeymoon.
And then you really find out if you like the person. Like that's just how life is. So I think part of it is, and that's where I'm just saying it's not bad, but you do have reading the blog. You have to understand that. I had to understand anyway that this is purely his personal reaction to things that he's seeing and feeling.
I mean that's why it's
less like I've seen these things, and then a lot of people would like then kind of sit down, take the next step. Okay, so I've seen all this shit, and now what do I think about it? Like, why? Like, for a good example would be
Ben.
What's that?
Did you just compare Envy to Ben?
No.
Oh, I thought you said Ben. Never mind. Sorry. I was
like,
never
stop
mind.
drinking, man.
I know.
But like a good counter example would be someone like Curtis, AUI, right? Like, for example, at the Summit 2, one of the players from C9, I was talking to him, and he was expressing his frustration with the format after the event. And then I talked to Curtis about it. I just asked him out of curiosity, like, what do you think about the format? And at first he was bringing up some concerns. And then kind of midway through his thought process, he was like, you know what? It's actually really hard to have a good format when you have 6 teams. It's kind of an awkward number. I was like, yeah, it's actually really hard to have a good format when you have 6 teams. You have to give something up. So, I mean, part of it's just who Envy is as a person, right? Like Curtis is someone who's kind of thinks outside himself a lot more. He's a lot more empathetic. But
you're also like comparing like 2 different situations. Curtis is a direct question. Envy, this is just his blog, and he needs to get it out.
Yeah, but he's had a lot of time to think about it as well. So.
Okay, so I mean, I think that's something that's definitely important to keep in mind. You go through this, talks about some Chinese lands that are fucking disaster, and
I think Envy's point here was just more so
the Envy whisper.
No, it's to highlight certain issues with the scene. Like I don't think he pretends to have a solution, but he's just like throwing shit out there, and he wants to get the dialogue going.
I think there were some overall. I would say
there were some very valid points in this blog.
My only problem with the blog is I felt like there was a lot of crap mixed in with really good points, and so what ends up happening is
it's hard to take.
People get distracted by the crap, and they don't talk about the real issues.
Types like an idiot. So I mean, he's like maybe one tier above IX Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it's just who he is. He can't help it, but I don't know. It was like, for example, I mean, the problems with tournaments and oversaturation. I don't really think I don't think what he thinks is the problem is the problem. But
I agree.
That said, like it does point towards a real issue and something that needs to be addressed. And then there's other stuff which, I mean, like quality of casts. At ESL, the casters were laughing when players were crying. Like the caster's job is not to. Of course, they should try to be respectful players, but it's not to entertain the players or cast the way a player wants them to cast.
Yeah.
It's to entertain the audience. And guess what? Viewers fucking love Cyclops. If you don't like the way he casts games, he's really funny. He's not that serious. Too bad. That's viewers love his casting overall. A lot of viewers hate it, but there's a lot more that love it. So, I mean, that goes back to just frame of reference where you have to understand like what the caster's role in the broadcast is. And I think there's still a lot of validity in some of his points that some casters are slacking, are mailing it in, that some casters aren't doing their research. Sometimes there's a real reason why. Sometimes it's just because they're lazy.
I mean, look at Gerg.
Wow, dude. I don't even try to cast. All right.
I mean, sorry, that was too
Wow.
easy. That was really too
Yeah,
easy.
you can go fuck yourself. You're fired off this show. Can I hang up on just Charlie?
Excuse me.
A great example of like a point that's just very, I mean, well intentioned but misguided is why aren't there more pro players casting? Well, you just told us why in your blog because
Yeah.
you guys are playing too many tournaments, so you have no time to cast. And
It's not okay.
that's
I'm sure.
okay,
Yeah, me
but
and
then
you,
you can't go and blame the tournaments for not bringing pro players into cast more.
Me
You
and
can't
you
have
can
it
both
ways.
tell you that when you ask a pro player to cast, generally they tell you in not so many words to go fuck yourself. Like that's just, I mean, they're busy. That's how it is. They don't want to cast. A lot of them don't like casting and they'd rather play.
I will say there's a few players that have approached me since the blog and said, listen, I want to cast more. I know at least one player has been kind of trying to find out, like how do casters prepare for their broadcast and just try to understand better, like what the caster's approach to things is. So, I mean, trust me, if I had a direct line to like, Puppy or EE or whoever, and I could just constantly, anytime I had any thought or question, just message them and I get a reply, I would ask them questions all the time, man. But that's just not how it works. You spam a player with questions, they're going to start ignoring you on Skype. So that's just the reality.
Yeah, they just stop answering.
But I mean, it comes from a good place. I don't disagree that the average game knowledge of like a Dota 2 caster is it's a joke compared to a pro player, but there's no way to get that knowledge except by actually being a professional player. It doesn't matter how much you study, doesn't matter how many replays you watch. Dota is just that complex where unless you've been there, done that recently, you just won't have the same level of knowledge. And the only solution really is when pro players start retiring. It started to happen in the Chinese scene. For whatever reason, a lot of the Western pros who have been around for a while are sticking around. I mean, hey, the money's better than it's ever been, so it's an odd time to cash out, but at some point, people are going to start retiring, and then I think you'll see the overall knowledge in broadcast will elevate quite a bit. But until then, I mean, what are you going to do? Would you prefer that the games are not cast? Because that's really the alternative. It's not like there's like 30 pro players that are sitting around looking for casting opportunities, aren't currently too busy with games, and studios just don't want to use them. Trust me. Like, if someone who's an experienced, accomplished professional player wanted to retire,
and cast,
the studios
there
would be all
spots for them. There would definitely.
All right. Hold on.
Charlie's getting ready to whisper again.
No. Well, I guess. Okay, never mind. He backed out.
Wow.
MV wanted in.
Well, he's welcome. All right, whatever. Well, if he changes his mind.
He said JK. He said JK.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dota, whatever. His closing thoughts are kind of interesting here. Dota's been a real mess. Yeah. Well, it's fucking. I mean, the scene is still establishing itself, and it's interesting when you talk to some different people. LD.
He has no webcam.
Yeah.
But he'll come in.
Okay.
Should I give him the link?
Yeah, just give him the link. It might blow up the overlays, but I have a backup ready.
All right, hold on. Where is this shit?
But well, I guess we'll just wait a second for Charlie to get his shit together.
Charlie, fuck you.
That's a delayed reaction there.
You just got to take the shots at Charlie and see when he's paying attention. Sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. Are you all right? Did you get the link? Do you need me to send it?
No, I gave it to him.
Wasn't Greg the one who's been drinking?
I'm explaining to him how to do it. Can you fucking relax?
He clicks the link and then he hits join meeting. It's pretty straightforward. Oh man. All right, well, I guess we'll just pop it over for another screen. We'll wait a couple minutes. Envy will hopefully be back, and you guys just stick around.
Got to get that fucking ad money.
Oh God, hold on. Nope, never mind. He's here. Hello. Nice. Only LDs got screwed up. We're in. Envy. Oh boy, we got some technical issues.
Uh-oh, he's covered up the webcam, dude. What's going on in there?
He doesn't have a webcam.
Well, there's a camera.
There's definitely a camera.
It just went black.
It's changing.
It was like colored and now it's black. Is there some sort of satanic ritual in the background?
Okay, I can.
Oh, he's back. Hello. Hello?
Hello?
What's up, dude?
Test.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, no. Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
Okay, we're ready. We can hear
Ready
you.
for what?
I don't know.
We're ready for Jackie
We're ready
Mao,
for Jackie
man.
Mao. Give us the lowdown, man.
Dude, I just showed up for like 2 minutes, so I actually don't know what's even happening. I just heard you guys are talking about the vlog. And that's all. It seems like you guys already finished.
Did you not listen at all?
I only listened like about OD talking about like the casters, like the podcasters, like how like they're too busy to cast.
Oh.
I just want to say like in the blog I kept trying to like because the thing is like I couldn't really not target specific groups, but that's why in the very beginning of every single like topic I always said like this is like the fault of everyone combined because this is how Dota is. Like you know casters like aren't trying to get in pro players because well pro players are lazy. First of all, I know that a lot of them don't show up on time and stuff. Second, because well there's not enough money to give to these co-casters, and third because they're too busy, and a bunch of other fucking reasons. It's very difficult to fix. And that's why like I kept saying like this is something that's gonna be really difficult to fix, and that's why we just need to start working on it together.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's been positive movement. I would say I spoke to you about it last night. I know a couple of other players have approached me. I think a lot of it will be improved if players are not playing 30 events at once, then they actually have some time to watch other tournaments and cast. So, yeah, I think it can go in a more positive direction.
Started wanting to cast more. I'm not exactly sure why. Like in the past, like casting, it didn't really help that much, I guess. But now people are starting to see the value in it, like co-casting.
Sure. I mean, I think generally like people love listening to pro players co-cast because like LD was talking about, I mean, there's a quality of game knowledge that you get from pro players that you just don't get from anyone else. Literally, there's no one else that has that.
Yeah. To be honest, like pro players, most of them, it's like me, like we're just so awful at casting. We're so fucking bad. It's actually ridiculous.
See, that's when you know the knowledge must be good.
Yeah,
if you're that bad at casting and people still want to hear you casting, you must be making up for it somehow.
All right.
I mean,
Charlie,
you have insight that nobody else really has, and by definition of your position, like your insight is going to be worth something because you play the game. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, it's your point of view. Yeah. And in some sense that automatically validates whatever the fuck you say.
Yeah.
I think if I was actually like trying to cast, I actually can do a lot more. I feel like when I go into like when I try to cast games, like usually I just go in because I'm bored or someone asks me, I'm like, all right, I'm bored. Might as well. I have nothing else to do. Like if I actually were to study the picks and their play and the players and like their scores, like how much certain players have been owning in the recent time, or players starting to choke too much on certain teams, like does it seem like a player is like pulling them down? Like I could actually do a lot more in my analytical like casting. I feel like I don't really know what teams pick. I can't really. It's hard for me to kind of predict their picks, and when the picks don't go the way I thought they would, I kind of get a little confused and a little doubtful of their picks. So I don't know. I actually don't feel like I know I talked to Loomis about this in the past, and I was I'm really close to Loomis, so I flame him all the fucking time. And like in the past, like he would tell me like he would actually do homework on teams, he would actually do stuff. And nowadays, like it doesn't seem like he does things like that anymore. And just in general, I don't feel like casters like teams like Leviathan.
So are you specifically calling out Lumi?
I'm calling everyone. I don't think anyone really
is that why he's flaming you so much more now? Like I feel like every time Lumi casts C9 now, he used to just constantly hug your nuts the entire cast, and now it's like, oh, he placed his ward like a second too late. Like, what the fuck are you? He just goes off on you guys for everything and nothing, man. So maybe he's just getting defensive with all your flames.
Yeah, I think he's getting defensive for sure. It's some hidden hatred. He told me it's okay to tell him like to like talk about his cast and like tell him what he can do better, but deep down inside he's like, fuck this guy. but yeah, I really believe a lot more homework could be done, and I know it's really hard because like casters have a lot of other jobs to do and not just casting, and because there's so many games to cast. But at the same time, like it's when you go into a game, you're watching fucking Leviathan versus whoever, and like no one fucking knows anything about this team. No one knows who's owning on this team, who's not owning on this team, what they're doing in picks, who's the captain. Like, everything's so confused.
I just want to step in and say that is true for some casters, but it's definitely not true for all. Like, I will say, I know Coddle Guy and Zyori spend a lot of time, especially Coddle Guy, researching those teams. He can probably say more about Leviathan than like you could, for example. So
I probably can't. I don't even know what the fuck they are. And actually, I think I know Jenkins. He's a punch player.
Yeah.
Fucking Jenkins.
Yeah, we had a moment at the house where Zyori we were at dinner and he's like, oh yeah, like he pulls creeps to mid as Pudge, and Ben's like, you can't do that. This is Merlady, right? And he's like, that's not possible.
Really?
You can't do that solid in a match. So I mean, it's partially it's like if you watch the games, you're just gonna know more about the team. But
I mean, some of it is like if you can make a living from casting Dota, you usually have to cast Dota so much that when you're done casting, if you've been casting for 7-8 hours a day, you have not enough energy to learn anything else about Dota, or B, not enough time because you have to go do something else. And C, if you're not watching those like particular teams, that especially some of the NA Dota ones that people don't tend to know as much about, you don't get to cast them very often unless you're Coddle Guy and Zeri doing Starlight or NA, whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
what I found out about Coddle Guy,
What?
he specifically lurks in like low viewer count streams.
Oh yeah, he's a lurker, dude.
well, he's just he's just creeping, man.
Like he fiends random people and shit.
Like he'll poke in with a little coddle Gerg. By the way, that guy always just spams his own emoticons. Like, can you be any more shameless about trying to sell out on your fucking channel, dude? Like, no matter the first thing he does when he gets mod is he starts just spamming his own emoticons, even if they're not appropriate.
Yeah, he does the coddlegasm thing and just puts it in.
Yeah.
Just slam that shit in there.
Hey guys, here's a shiny emoticon. You should probably
Guys,
buy
look,
it.
it's me. Notice me, please.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
But I mean, to return to Jackie's point, it's true. I think even when you're busy, there's at least like a baseline of preparation that you should be able to do.
Yeah,
I will
of course.
say,
I mean, looking at drafts takes like 3 seconds. Like that level of preparation. You go on that Dota.
Well, I mean, not 3 seconds. It takes like maybe 20 minutes to properly prepare, especially for these tier 2 teams. Like, I will say some of the teams, you can't find any match data. And if you actually want to find the data, you have to go and fiend on NA Dota, or if it's like an SEA team that you've never heard of, you got to go talk to like Jupy or Tiffany. Well, yeah, but some of these teams literally have no games in. Because the thing with SEA and NA, right, is that the scene's always reforming. Like, there is absolutely no stability outside of maybe like 4 to 5 teams. So, especially in SEA with the match fixing bullshit. So, like, there's like 5 new teams right now. So, and then like teams will have the same name, but they'll have 4 new players a week later.
Yeah.
So, part of it is just that it is legitimately hard to follow these scenes, and at the same time, as a basic cost-benefit equation, like, you just can't make a living off of studying the tier 2 and tier 3 teams that religiously. So I think there will always be an element of sometimes you are just going to go into a match as a caster, not know what the teams are doing. But that being said, I think for a lot of the teams, you can do that baseline preparation. I will say, casters are human. So like myself, for example, past few months, a lot of it has just been getting ready for the summit too. And
me and Envy had a conversation about this before. Don't worry, I already got you.
Thanks, dude. But there's still like a baseline, like 15 minutes that I could probably be doing for some games where I'm not. It's just end of the day, stress.
Yeah, part
whatever.
of it's just like stress and exhaustion, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I've told some players this, and I think Envy was one of them, and I said, like, a lot of people wouldn't know this, but LD literally manages like almost everything at BTS. Most people wouldn't know that. Like, why would you?
Well, dude, did you know that I made 6 figures last year? I just found this out from Twitch chat today.
Enjoy your shekels. Enjoy your shekels,
dude.
Oh my god.
Well, I have one thing to say. That's kind of like this. I mean, I kind of understand this double standard in Dota because pros are expected to be like these ridiculous, like, super tryhards. But like, when I talk about myself, like, okay, maybe I may be wrong, but it's completely bullshit here, but I don't feel like I make excuses that much at all, actually. That blog was the first real excuse I've made in, like, super forever. Like, when I like, and everything I said in that blog, it's like it's not like it's just an excuse. I always blame myself. Like, I always blame myself no matter what. And when I talk to like tournament organizers or casters or anything, like, I feel like they're just they just make excuses, and I have to like kind of pity them or feel bad, or like, oh, I feel bad for like flaming them or anything like that. But when it comes to pros, like we always, no matter how many excuses we make, in the end of the day, when we lose a game or when whatever happens, we always feel like complete total shit, and we always get flamed by the community. And we can't go like, oh, can you guys stop flaming us? We're humans too. Like, we would never say something like that. And I feel like people, I don't expect the same from casters, but at the same time, I still expect a little bit more.
Well, let me just say, when I have a shitty cast, I'm not like, haha, whatever, fuck the community, I'm getting my esports bucks.
Yeah,
I feel like shit.
Feel bad.
If I make a big mechanical mistake and I start getting called out for it in chat, like, I get really pissed off, and I try not to tilt during the broadcast, but it really bothers me. So just because I'm saying, there's a difference between me saying like, oh, well, we're human, that doesn't mean I think it's an excuse. It's an explanation more than anything. Like, this is why it happens. There are things I could do better in my own life so that I don't get so stressed out, and then do a better job preparing. Anyway, it's not an excuse, man, but at the same time, there are going to be limits. Casters are going to make mistakes, and I will say that I know, I'm pretty sure there are some casters who really don't give a fuck, but generally they don't last very long, and those that do, at some point, they catch up with them.
Sorry, what was that, Charlie?
Okay, what was
that?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't help myself.
You go fuck yourself.
It's actually so hard to stop. I'm sorry.
What do you do?
He's a fucking flamer. He's a goddamn
shots.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here and Charlie's just fucking Gerggin on me.
I can't help it.
Oh god.
Spend 20 minutes setting up your fucking overlays.
Wow. All
Sorry.
right. Envy, before we move on, one thing I did want to ask you about, and you don't have to, you can say as much as you want, but I'm curious, at the bottom of your blog it says shout out to the Players Association. Can you elaborate?
Elaborate?
Yeah.
I mean, just basically all the players we could find that want to do anything, just come together and talk. That's really it. It's not really, there's no legal shit yet. I'm not sure there will be. We will see.
All right. Fair enough.
Well, if you ever need some help with your legal shit, dude, you always got Charlie here.
Yeah, Charlie.
I go to him every day. He's my best friend.
Where does that leave Cameron?
Oh, shut the fuck did I just say?
What the fuck are you saying? What's wrong with you?
Oh shit! I have to take that back.
All right, fair enough. All right, I think unless anyone else has anything pressing, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll do like, I don't know, we'll do like 20 minutes of call-ins for anyone who's interested, and that will be that. So stick around, and we'll be back soon.
Wait. How are we gonna do call-ins? We're not on.
We're gonna switch. We'll switch Skype.
Okay.
Yeah. And we'll be back.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Can't shake the light. I'll take the chance and roll the
Goodbye,
dice.
Jackie now.
Just wanna feel the stars around. The
Greg's
atmosphere
gonna get his fucking
never to come down. I'll stand alone, whether right or wrong. It takes me home, right where I belong. Back down, only one way out. I'll let you run my life. Now you won't get me down. Untamed, guess I lost my mind. You turned me inside out. No one can stop me now. So turn up the light. Turn up the light. You're my greatest affliction, my one contradiction, my sweetest addiction is you. Strange as a fiction, my one contradiction, my sweetest addiction is you. You're my greatest affliction, my one contradiction, my sweetest addiction is you. Strange as a
Welcome back. We're here for Gerg Live, and they are already Gergging.
Why
And-
the fuck does this take you so long, right?
What?
Have one scene for the fucking call before we have call-ins and have one for
I
after. And
literally-
I did. Okay.
I spent
Okay.
like 5 minutes looking at you look down. You just spent 5 minutes looking down like this, and I have no idea what the fuck you're doing. We're
I
all
was
just
getting
sitting here
another
with our
computer
thumbs up our
so I
ass.
can control this without blowing everything up. So if you could just calm down.
never tweeted us again, by the way. I don't even want to fucking hear it from you anymore. You're a fucking idiot.
Oh, the love is so real. Well, we have our first caller. It's Blaze. Dude, what's going on?
Not too much. Enjoying the show, of course, but I don't know. It's just it's been frustrating talking, like hearing you guys talk and seeing Twitch chat going back and forth, and especially when you guys are talking about like caster quality and stuff like that. We talk Cyclops. I know the guy, I love the guy, but I really wish that people would really appreciate like good commentary. Like I know Charlie, you fucking don't give a shit because you're
No,
just chilling
like,
out.
Honestly, I mute every single one of you.
Exactly. But I'm just like, when I look at it and I just say like, okay, well, if I'm researching the fuck out of teams, if I'm putting in half an hour, even an hour of extra research for teams that I particularly don't know and want to give good commentary on, when I'm, every time that I don't know mechanic, I end the broadcast, I immediately go into practice game and I try to learn what I don't know so that I can bring that viewer experience. But it's just so damn frustrating when like, the average MMR is like 2K or whatever, and people are just flaming me as if I'm beneath them or barely slightly above that level. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the best way to like get people to appreciate things. Honestly, I felt more appreciated as an observer at the summit than I have ever had casting. Like, it's damn frustrating.
Honestly, I think more than going, if like somebody mentioned, and I think I agree that like you'll never get that pro player knowledge unless you're a pro player.
Mhm.
And I think something that maybe casters should do is form an amateur team. Go play in Sex. Go play in some open tournament or whatever. Make that like a legitimate. That's your research. Then you know what it's like to be a pro player. Play on a team. That's probably more helpful than than some like random mechanical thing that probably most people don't even know, and
Sure,
honestly
sure.
probably don't even care about.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. One thing is, of course, having a newborn kid. It's like finding time to cast, finding time to take care of him and family and stuff.
Listen,
and
man,
then
you heard
climb the
Jackie
ladder,
Mao.
so-
No fucking excuses.
No
I don't
excuses,
care if
Blaze.
Chad's
Okay.
dying,
I don't give a
dude.
fuck about your kid or your wife or your sleeping.
All right, 4 hours sleep, 4 hours DOTA.
Shut up, Greg.
all
You
good.
make the most excuses out of anybody that I've actually
Me?
ever
I don't
heard.
know what you're talking about, dude.
okay, let's just pause the show real quick and talk about Greg.
God, dude.
Greg,
Sounds good.
Greg gets mad. Greg, okay, so Greg was on the bus, the train, or whatever the fuck, right? And he saw a couple making out, and he decided that this was a problem worthy of Twitter. So he goes on Twitter, he's like, why the fuck are these disgusting people making out right in front of me? Like, he owns the fucking bus or something. Greg, just shut the fuck up.
Dude, okay. You know, we're not even discussing this. All I'm saying is if you've been on Boston public transit in rush hour, you'll know my plight, and all the rest of you can, whatever, fuck off or something.
You actually complain about the most irrelevant shit. Like, like so much of the Gerg Salt chat is like filled with your bullshit.
Yeah, like Charlie and I will be talking about some real problem, and then Greg's like, yeah, and like I had a really shitty day because I stayed up too late and now I'm tired at work.
Oh, my boss wants me to work extra hours. I get paid so much money, but this fucking asshole wants me to stay a little bit longer. Holy shit, my job is so interesting. I did this today. Go fuck yourself, dude.
Charlie, I'm sorry, Charlie. Oh my God. All right. Well, Blaze, you're appreciated, and I love you.
Wait.
LD doesn't.
Somebody else wants to flame Gerg.
Oh my God. Yeah, talking about production value, Charlie can't add someone to a Skype call.
Can you fucking relax?
All
right,
well,
you have to call.
Oh God. All right.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is just getting ugly.
Uh-oh.
Why is Travis even here?
He wants to flame you.
Greg, you're a goddamn idiot, dude.
All right, you're
You're a goddamn idiot, honestly.
Fucking bot notes, dude. Just giving it to him straight.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Oh, boy.
I have never met somebody that is more angry in my entire life than Greg. I love you, man, but you could literally go off on anything. Like, this is my body, and I'm talking about, like, I'm eating Subway tonight, and he just fucking goes off on me. Like, I know you guys fucking hate Subway. I understand that you hate Subway. I fucking understand it, okay? But let me eat the food that I want to fucking eat. Jesus H. Christ. Oh, my God, Greg.
I mean,
honestly,
we did have I did yell at you for like at least 10 minutes last night about Subway, so.
Yeah, no, it was actually absurd.
Charlie, any thoughts?
Greg, stop trying to make yourself a meme, dude. Just stop. Like,
hey man,
I feel like the Gerg thing started. It wasn't you, right? It was someone else.
No, it was Yannis and
Yannis
and Borak.
Oh shit, this is my ticket.
Well, it started with that random Twitter, yeah.
And then he's like, oh shit, this is my ticket to fame now. I'm just going to embrace this. But what's happened is you've been doing it for so long that you actually started to become Gerg. Like, this is poisoning your real life, dude. You could be a normal, relatively happy, well-adjusted human
It's
being.
not too late. It's not too late,
Or
Greg.
you could be fucking Gerg.
Oh my God.
You need to
The
abandon
self-realization. All right, I can't handle anymore. I can't handle any more reflection. Can't handle any more self-reflection.
You should just stop playing Dota because that certainly doesn't help either.
All
I'm
right.
just gonna throw in there that if Greg was actually at the summit obsing instead of Mott and I think we'd be counting how many kills actually were hit instead of missed there.
Whoa, I did a great job obsing when I was there. When Travis was fucking asleep because he was too hungover to wake up. Yeah, I went there.
Greg, your obs is terrible, dude.
Charlie, yeah.
Terrible.
All right.
What are you saying?
You can't really argue with
What do you want?
Yeah, are you done? Real people have questions, Travis.
I guess I just wanted to flame you.
All right, you're fucked. You're out. You're out. All right, Blaze. Anything else?
I don't know. I do a better Gerg impression than you do, I suppose. That's all I got.
I laughed for at least 5 minutes at that.
We're done here.
Okay. All right, you're Blaze. You'll be missed. Wait, was there a question?
No, I was just
No, it was just we love you, Blaze. That's it.
Peace.
All right, bye. All right, we're gonna take some random people now. God help us. First person, his Skype name is Awesome Dude, and we're just gonna, we're gonna hope for the best here and see how it goes. But
Sharks, awesome.
yeah, that's the display name, Awesome Dude. Yeah, I'm attempting to vaguely screen these, so I don't know if this will work, but call failed. All right, we'll give him one more. All right, he lost.
Remove his ass.
Rip. Next person. His questions weren't real. This is someone, he's the manager for Complexity. His name is Beef, and he had a question about admins, and I will attempt to add him. It worked. We are in. I wish I had theme music for when I was calling people.
I think you should stop fiddling with production things.
All right, he's here. Beef, what's up, buddy?
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going
Hey,
well.
Beef, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It's been a long day though. We had a bunch of Star Ladder stuff going on today, and
yeah.
then the jurors decided to shit themselves. 7 remakes later, we decided to postpone the tiebreakers yet again, so that this weekend we have 11 best of 3s to play over 2.5 days.
Okay.
It's going pretty well. So I mean, tiebreakers are going good there. But I mean, I kind of want to talk. But yesterday, Reddit made this really big deal about these Starlighter tiebreakers, and we had a long discussion with Andre and with the teams where everybody decided, okay, this is where we're going with tiebreakers, schedules, fairness. This is what we all agree to. Leviathan then goes onto Reddit and decide, hey, we're going to get public sympathy and put it in this way. And Vlock goes on there, and Andre talks about that. Then we had a 7-hour discussion in chat this morning about how the hell we're going to go about this. And Andre decides to reverse it, like based on community outrage. And I don't know, what do you guys think about that? When the community is going to outrage about something that they don't know all the details about, but they're giving everybody shit. Like,
I mean, isn't that what they do all the time?
Isn't that what Valve does?
Well, exactly. But when is somebody going to kind of grow some backbone?
No one is going to do that. Dude, if you anger the community, it's okay, not no one, but
okay.
So Starladder is not really in a good position to be fighting with the community right now, right? Like, I feel like some tournaments can maybe get away with that.
This is a really difficult. This is a very multifaceted like issue. So, and there's not exactly a right answer either. It's what do you do from your perspective and what does Starlighter do from theirs, because you're at like we're this is a problem where roles are adversarial. Like, you have your own interests, other Leviathan has their own, Starlighter has theirs, and they're gonna do.
The issue was that we all agreed to it. We had a 2-hour discussion. We all agreed to it, and immediately after that, Leviathan went onto Reddit and posted their shit.
Then you have to somehow hold Starlighter to their original decision.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, how are we going to go ahead and do that when all of a sudden the other teams don't show up? And the admins say, okay, we're doing it. We're doing it a different format now. We're doing it different
You talk
times.
to the other teams. You form a coalition. You do something. You like
try to utilize collective bargaining.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about
Charlie. They can't bargain together because they have opposite positions on this issue.
Well, if all the teams agreed, then they can't.
Sounds like it was every team but Leviathan.
They agreed, right? But then Leviathan thought about it, I guess, and were unhappy.
Okay, Leviathan is one team.
Yeah, but were the other two motivated?
It's all about applying your leverage.
What was that?
Well, I think did you try to talk to the other two teams? What did they feel the same way, or?
I mean, we all just wanted to get the shit done. We wanted to get it done in a timely manner. And it was just really frustrating that, I mean, the managers are all sitting there. It was 8 hours of talking between the managers and the players and the admins over the few days. And the players are all sitting here having to wait. We have no clue when the matches are played. Now we're in the position of we have Starlighter tiebreakers, Starlighter playoffs, and joint DOTA League, all before our captain ends up having to take days off because he's having surgery starting on Monday. Like, it's very frustrating to have all this scheduling happen and then it kind of goes away because somebody decides, oh, it's unfair, I'm going to go cry to the community.
Well, then, I mean, if you have numbers, use that. Like, if like you said, everybody wants to just get this shit done, then you make sure that people stick to it, and it sounds like if Leviathan wants to go off on their own or whatever, they sort of have to pay the consequences for that. You shouldn't let them get out in front of this and use public opinion to sway Starlighter or something.
It just gets to the point where ultimately you just maybe he does that and they don't budge, and then you just have to make a call. Are you going to withdraw from the event as a protest? Are you just going to suck it up and play? Like, you just have to have that final decision prepared, because I kind of feel like Starlighter might not have changed their mind anyway. I'm not sure though. I wasn't involved in the discussions.
I mean, I love Andre. Like, he's been doing a really good job from everything that I can see. But when we dropped out of events before, we dropped out of the I-League qualifiers after I had a 3-hour discussion with the organizers there. And they say, okay, we're not going to make you play at 3 o'clock in the morning. We're going to get this fixed for you. We're going to get this fixed for you. And he says, Okay, we're gonna get it changed. And then I just happen to be online at 3 o'clock in the morning. Admin says, "Where are you? Where's your team?" I'm like, "You said you were changing the times." UG shows up, and UG's like, "Where's the other team?" Evidently, admin never told anybody else that the times were being changed. And we say, "We're absolutely not playing this like against UG. We're not going to play against this at 3 o'clock in the morning." So we drop out of that event. Like, it's just frustrating, you know, the lack of professionalism. There's no quality control.
Charlie, are you?
What is that fucking noise?
What are you doing? What are you doing, buddy?
Well, sorry, I didn't.
Little special Charlie time, little me time.
Special
Dude,
Charlie
I,
time.
I,
right now.
no, I didn't realize it was making noise or whatever. I was just like,
God.
sorry.
Yeah, that looked bad. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, yeah. I just see myself doing it or whatever. Sorry. That was. Wow, that looks really bad. I don't even know what to say. That's on me. That just looks really bad. No, I was adjusting my whatever. There's nothing I can say. There's actually nothing I can say.
Just stop talking.
You fucking lost, dude.
Holy shit, I fucking lost.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for us to say exactly because obviously we weren't involved in the situation, but I don't know, collective bargaining or try to utilize numbers. But obviously, you're I know complexities in the situation where, you know, you're not like a huge team that's going to get, you know, tournament organizers to bend over backwards, but you still want to play in these big tournaments. So
Yeah, we don't need them to bend over backwards. We just want shit to, you know, go the way that it should, and then people stick to what's agreed upon. That's all I'm looking for.
the dream, dude. That's the dream.
The dream. That's the dream.
Sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that is the dream.
Yeah. Anyway, I just need to get that off my chest. Anyway, guys, have a good night.
All right, nice talking to you. All right, we're gonna add Reek to the call. That's a promising name.
Huh? Like from Game of Thrones, Reek?
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
That's an interesting profile picture he's got there.
Yeah, disclaimer, everything you have shows up on our stream. But he said he had a question about simulated excitement and 6.82. I think this is kind of an interesting question, so maybe he'll answer. Hello?
Did you say? Okay.
Simulated excitement. Hello?
Hello?
Reek? Are you dead, Reek?
Rhymes with meek.
All right, come on, you can do it. You can he not do it? All right, you can't do it, but I'll read your question anyway. Basically, the question is how the game's been balanced to artificially create excitement and how it reflects on the casters. Sometimes having to do the same and now always having to do the same.
Huh?
Thoughts?
Can you,
What?
Basically,
like
the
rubber
fact
band
that,
effect?
yeah, the rubber band effect and that the game's built now for comebacks.
It's not really built that much though. Like the original 6.82 was totally.
Yeah,
I was casting at the I-League finals, like so I mentioned earlier in the show, like during the middle of an I-League best of 3, Old Boys versus I think it was Rave. Game 1, Rave were crushing. We're gonna win. Old Boys had Spectre at an original 6.82. That means you could be 30k gold down, get like 2 kills, even if they take later acts, and just basically straight up win. So it was the rubber band was nerfed like 2 or 3 times. It is still significant. It's like on the cusp where I don't necessarily think it's artificial, but it just makes it so you have to be more careful. So I don't know. I definitely agree with that premise for the original 6.82. I'm not really sure if it's the case.
I still disagree with it. I mean, you shouldn't be rewarded that much for making one good move. It just happened to be at a later stage in the game. Whereas
I do agree with that point.
All right,
I'm just saying.
It's shit. Yeah, I don't either.
all right. Well,
It's kind of goes against the nature of Dota, right? It's a very punishing game, and
yeah, that's how it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, and I think like a lot of the direction 6.82 started like moving in was it rewards more PvE play, farming ancients, farming creeps till late game, and it doesn't reward PvP as much. And I think that's incredibly unfortunate and not good for the game.
All right. Well, we're gonna close it out with everyone's favorite NA Dota personality.
Nice.
Can you guess?
Yeah, it's Grant.
It's fucking Grant.
the one and only Grant.
The one and only Grant. Please don't get me banned from Twitch. Oh God, his profile picture is not promising.
Right now, so my family doesn't hear this.
Don't let them see this. All right, Grant. Grant, are you really gonna do this to me right now? Here we go.
Hello.
There he is. Grant,
Hey,
Oh
buddy.
wait, let me get my webcam. God damn.
are you wearing a shirt?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's fine then.
This one's almost better, dude. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, some girl was like being a tease and like, can you see me? I'm like, no. What? That's like and that's why you can see me.
What does that have
Grant.
anything to
Okay.
do with your picture?
But because she sent me a picture like this, but she covered her nipple.
So
I'm
See,
not,
I
okay,
did-
I'm not doing find out with the response. Grant, talk to us about casters.
Okay, so I mean, what do you guys discuss? That's why I didn't want.
Are
to
you
call in.
serious?
I didn't want to be unprepared.
We
I
did,
mean,
I
you-
just
we
got-
okay.
already-
We did not really
you
talk.
already know my position.
Oh,
We
man.
didn't really-
He's already preparing for his argument. You see,
I'm not-
very clever, Grant. Very clever.
No, I just didn't know what you guys talked about.
Just
It's like-
Grant, just give us the let's lay it down, dude.
Just stop bullshitting.
Just stop
dude.
giving me
Say
that
whatever.
fuck. Stop giving me that shit, dude.
All right. So I'm just curious if I don't even know where I'm going to go with this.
Oh boy.
Like, I don't know where to go with this.
Oh my
I just
god.
think casters-
Grant, you sellout fuck.
Okay. Well, I don't want to be like mean.
I mean, it's
What do you mean you
what?
don't want to be mean? This is why you are my favorite caster. Be mean. Go.
The thing is, how can a caster not know a sponsored team and who they are when they got sponsored a week ago? This was like 6 months ago in Star Ladder. Say it was some caster that starts with M and sounds like Merlin, but it ends with Innie. And he asked, he was in the game. I was listening to the cast, and he said, "Wow, who's CNB?" When I believe it was Asuris just transferred sponsorships and it was over it's on Join Dota, Ghost of Gamers, every site. He's like, "Who are these guys? Who's like not Smash? It wasn't Smash. It was King RD's like, who's King RD?" And I don't know Like, how can a caster not like read news for a week and ask what?
Not
in the middle of a cast.
because
David?
he said it because he really does. He said, I'm sure. Knowing Ben, he said it because he doesn't.
The Merlini whisper.
The Merlini whisper.
Knowing Ben, he said it because he really doesn't care if people know that he doesn't know who the team is. First of all, and as to why he doesn't read news, well, I mean,
Ben lives
if
in
you
this.
haven't figured it out yet,
Ben lives in this
is not
beautiful
as plugged
zone.
into, like, scene as a lot of other people,
Oh, no,
which
I love
does have its benefits. I mean, there are a lot of downsides to being too plugged into the scene.
Zenlini,
on a
dude.
But how do you question who a team is? Are we talking about like, oh, second tier teams should be getting into leagues if the casters don't even give a shit about him? He obviously doesn't spend time.
F4L is saying it's unfair because CNB switched teams. What do you have to say to that? Is that true?
They did. I told you they went from Asuris to CMB a week before. Like, it was on every news site. You can't just read that once a day. I mean, it's tough. I type in J and then Oing Dota comes up. 2 seconds
Right.
max. As
Let's
in, no,
go.
like, no. Should that be okay? Should a caster
No,
on like
That
Star
shouldn't
Ladder-
be okay.
Question: what is the new LV gaming roster? Don't go look at any websites.
Yeah,
Why
you-
would I
LV
care?
game.
I'm not a caster. Why would I care?
He is not a caster.
I'm not a caster. I don't. When I casted, I knew every player. I casted every player. I played with them in NEL. I tried to give background. I don't care about Chinese Dota now.
I guarantee you, ask the question, 90% of players and casters and coaches and managers will not know the roster. They will know the roster.
I know the roster.
Oh, okay.
What,
Name.
you found it on Ghost of Gamers now, Charlie?
You can see exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, we saw before.
Oh, we did too.
Okay, so you're saying because other
Chill,
people
we
can't,
do that.
like, why do casters get paid then? I mean, if they do, I mean, they probably still get shit.
Because people want to watch them, man.
So they
end of the day,
yeah, people.
I'm not
want
saying
spots.
it's right. You can view it as a justice, but end of the day, people would rather watch an unprepared Merlini cast than a prepared most other casters cast. That's just a fact. And if you don't like it, then you just got to outwork him. And to be fair to Ben, I mean, I think
Which you
there
never
are
do.
times when he is more prepared. But, you know, I don't
And
know.
you'll never be able to, like, you can't really say you have to outwork Merlin. You're just never gonna have the same name as him in Dota. It's unfair BTS using him, you know, to draw people in.
Well, Grant, we wanted you, man, but you were just too attached to Walmart.
I still am. I wouldn't quit. Shit,
Living the Walmart lifestyle.
yeah, and what?
All right. Well, I have good news, Grant. Soon I
You
will.
don't see the hoodie?
oh,
Wait up.
Is that a Walmart hood? You're actually disgusting. That's
Wait,
like
you have a Walmart hoodie?
the worst
Honest,
kind of selling out I've ever even seen.
Shout out to Trojan Condoms and Jack Daniels, also sponsored by them. Give them a shout out.
Can you give me a Walmart hoodie, dude?
I can. I got an extra one. Wait up.
Oh my god.
Wait,
What?
you want to give it to me in Vegas?
Yeah, I'll get to you in Vegas. Yeah, I got one extra.
All right. Well, the other good news, Grant, is that I will also be in Vegas for sure. So I'll see you there.
Good news.
Hey,
It's
I'm
great
one of you guys
news.
just- One of you guys please get me one, please.
A Walmart
What,
hoodie.
stripper or a Walmart?
One. I really want a Walmart hoodie.
You actually, I think it'll take 2 weeks. I still got no.
I will pay you for the hoodie. I will pay you
Alright.
for shipping.
Oh, it cost me $35.
They make you pay
Not
for it?
actual, no, not actual money. It's money you earn by being accident free. So 35 Walmart bucks.
How are
Wait,
you
wait,
at?
wait, what?
What? You're just learning the inside.
Dude,
Dude.
you are a walking disaster at every TI I've seen you at. Like, literally swerving all around the entire bit. You and the guy with the camel pack. Oh my goodness.
Do I ever get in? Do I ever? I always show up the next day though. I never show
Alright.
up hungover.
All right. Okay. We're done. We're
I show up the next day once in a while. Take a day off.
oh god.
Die North American Dota. All right, I love you, LD, Greg, and I mostly love Charlie.
Oh god.
You suck up.
All right. F4L. He's actually the last one. He's spamming me. We'll plop him in here and then we'll wrap up. Unless he doesn't answer, and then I'll just be angry.
I like
Come
how
on, Kevin.
Walmart gives their employees Walmart bucks for being accident free.
That's incentive, man.
I like how
F4L.
Grant has managed to achieve some Walmart bucks. By the way.
That's pretty amazing, to be honest.
Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey,
Hi.
dude.
What's up, buddy?
I wanted to flame admins.
All right, you go for it, dude.
All right, so
Make it a-
admins actually just have to stop letting players decide things. It's actually completely unfair to players, and it's ridiculous. Like in the middle of a game, if something goes wrong, they need to just make a decision or look at their rules, figure it out. The game's paused. Like
You got some
asking
time. Collect
players-
yourself.
Dude, like asking players is just it. Like the players don't want to deal with that shit. It like adds stress. Like
It's a fair point. I think the only rebuttal is that not everybody is doing what they should be. Like, I don't think anyone would argue that admin should be adminning and not outsourcing it to players. But I will
That is
say,
I
will
know some
say-
of them like don't get paid and stuff.
no, yeah, part of it's they don't get paid. Part of it is, I mean, end of the day, especially if you're not, like, it is hard to focus as an admin. And, like, if you're getting paid, then it's one thing. But if you're unpaid volunteer, like, do you really want to sit and watch this, like, especially, like, Starladder, man, all those games? So it's not an excuse, but...
That's true.
But
Because
where, like,
sometimes I feel like admins, they're just there to host the game.
well, to a large extent,
Yeah.
they are. Because there aren't really
I
that
know.
many in-game issues for online matches. Like, and if there are, like, then the admin normally can be summoned to deal with it. But I don't think it's realistic to have an admin who's actually watching the game for every tournament, for every game, especially not for something like Starladder with like 300 group stage matches. But I completely agree with you that there's been for a long time there's been a problem with admins getting pushed around by teams. And, you know, part of it is
Yeah,
like
it
it's
goes
more if
both
it's
ways.
a popular team or if they have an aggressive manager like Charlie who will go after what he wants. But, you know, sometimes you just got to tell him, Charlie, no, sorry, dude. And, you know, or whoever the manager might be. And sometimes they have all the leverage and they'll just say, oh, well, if you don't go our way, we're pulling out of the event or we're going to screw you. But generally what managers do is they see how much they can get out of the tournament and they'll rarely push it to the limit unless they already have a lot of issues with the event. So I think it's just immature admins. People are inexperienced or they're worried about screwing something up, so they don't want to piss off a
I think
popular team.
I think that's what a lot of what comes down to is they're afraid of making a mistake that will aggravate the players in the game, and then the tournament gets bad
I mean,
on
I
Twitter or something.
I sort of don't blame them. Like if you look at Dream League,
Okay, that was
admin
some
okay.
seriously incompetent shit, though. That's completely different
I mean,
than
that guy
okay.
deserves
The
to be
difference
fired,
between
but-
what you're talking about and
He
what
did
that
not
was.
get fired.
or he left, right? He
He
didn't get fired.
No,
That's right.
no.
Well,
I thought
wasn't
he
he?
left.
Really
Wasn't he
leave on
just
it.
wasn't he just the mouthpiece for his boss though? Isn't that what? Like he didn't really have any control.
I thought I
Or is
saw a
that not-
Reddit
Yeah, he
post that he
did.
left.
No, he was still around.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, I mean, I don't know, whatever. This has
For
been
some
an issue.
reason, I thought he was no longer part of Dream League.
No, he still is.
Okay.
He should at the very least not do Dota anymore, because even if he is a great admin for the rest of his Dota career,
No one's
it's
ever
not
gonna
gonna
listen
matter.
to him. Yeah.
Like DDZ can never play competitive Dota again without just every game being a trade wreck from the chat and the broadcast and Reddit. Like
It's gonna be like
every time he
3-2-2.
screws up, yeah, like it's the same thing for nukes. Like no matter how good of an admin he is, it doesn't matter. Like it's just gonna damage their image. So from that point of view, he definitely shouldn't be doing Dota anymore as a business thing. But I mean, we'll see. I guess.
Yeah, like would you hire? Yeah, I'm not hiring nukes. Like that's not.
I
good.
wouldn't hire you either.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
let's be real.
All right. Okay, Charlie. All right, fuck everyone. With that, we are gonna end the show. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you at some point in the future. I don't know when that is. That's all I got. Thanks guys for watching.